Everyone makes mistakes, but some people are fortunate enough to be given a chance to make things right. It seemed like I was one of those lucky few. At the beginning of the year, I met a wonderful girl named Nastya. Our evenings were filled with romantic walks on the frosty streets, and as time went on, our relationship grew stronger. My friends were even envious of the tranquility and harmony we shared. I knew that I couldn't let such a chance slip away, so in the middle of spring, I took a leap of faith and asked Nastya to move in and start a life together. Without any hesitation, she agreed, and we eagerly awaited the summer to make our big move. We even considered formalizing our commitment through marriage, but I couldn't bring myself to take that step just yet. Little did I know that soon I would face a moment that would make me question the necessity of that legal bond. In my eyes, Nastya was the perfect girl, and during that period of infatuation, it was difficult to see things objectively. However, a situation arose that served as a wake-up call. We continued to spend our evenings together, sometimes staying over at each other's places. Nastya had to be at work by 9 a.m., so she entrusted me with a duplicate key to lock up after her when I left at 8:30 a.m. In return, she had a key to my apartment as well. It was convenient for both of us. If she was running late, she would ask me to come by and feed her cat, and when I went on business trips, she could easily enter my place, discard spoiled food, or simply check on things. One day, I had a series of meetings with clients scheduled outside the office. I gathered all the necessary documents in a folder and set off to meet potential partners. Although it was tiring to travel from one office to another, meeting at a restaurant posed an entirely different challenge. Ordering a delicious steak for yourself while your partner, who happens to be a vegetarian, looks on with disapproval can be quite awkward. It felt wasteful to eat the entire steak and then discard the remains. After successfully completing a few more trades, I found myself with a couple of free hours in my schedule. I was just a 10-minute walk away from Nastya's apartment and decided to surprise her with some of her favorite foods. I purchased her beloved pastries, sushi, and her preferred wine. Glancing at my watch, I realized that Nastya would be home any minute. I rushed to her apartment, eager to prepare the dishes, set the table, and choose a pleasant tune to create a welcoming atmosphere. But as I entered, it seemed like everything had already been set in motion before my arrival. As I ascended to the floor, the sound of loud music filled my ears. It became evident that the source was coming from her apartment. With a locked door in front of me, I hesitantly used my key to open it. Upon entering the hallway, I was met by a disheveled cat with wide eyes. Our relationship had never been friendly, yet this time, she willingly jumped into my arms. Muska's heartbeat echoed loudly, almost matching the rhythm of the blaring music. Amidst the cacophony, I could discern intimate sounds that made it clear something was amiss. At that moment, I contemplated closing the door and cutting Nastya out of my life forever, believing it to be the biggest mistake of my life if I didn't. Nevertheless, for some inexplicable reason, I chose to accept the situation and proceeded towards the kitchen. It was there, surrounded by the turbulent noise, that I had the opportunity to reflect on my entire existence. I realized it was fortunate that a wedding had not been arranged, sparing me from having to explain its cancellation to friends and acquaintances. After all, Nastya's charms, her natural blonde hair, and impeccable figure had captivated the attention of numerous men. I understood that she had selected the one who possessed wealth or a longer list of desirable qualities. Frankly, I felt uneasy about it all, yet somehow I had been complicit in the situation. It ceased to be a joke, and I was reluctant to confide in anyone about it. With measured steps, I tiptoed towards the kitchen, yet the audible sighs did not cease. And there, in that moment, the first sight that greeted me left an indelible impression. I walked into the room and was taken aback to see a large, naked man facing the window. His powerful arms were flanked by slender legs that belonged to a woman. Just as I entered, he turned around, and I couldn't help but notice his hirsute back, reminiscent of the carpet on my wall. I found myself in a state where I wasn't ready for a conversation, and it seemed apparent that my eyes were bloodshot. In a normal situation, I wouldn't willingly pick a fight with someone like this Tarzan-like figure who clearly outmatched me in height, weight, and strength. However, in the heat of the moment, I didn't consider the consequences. I quickly grabbed a kitchen stool and struck this audacious seducer 3 times on his spine. He yelped and started dodging and protesting. Despite the stool breaking upon the 3rd blow, my uninvited guest remained unharmed. Amidst the loud music and the incomprehensible words coming from the intruder, I managed to retrieve one of the broken stool legs, contemplating how to strike a blow to his head. I briefly considered hitting him in the eye with the narrower side. As I prepared myself, the curtain slipped from my grasp, and my half-cold weapon rolled under the sink. The guy, realizing he was at a disadvantage, hastily took refuge in the bathtub and locked himself inside. I glanced around the room to confirm whether I was in the right or wrong apartment. There was the microwave with a sticker, the table adorned with cherry-themed tablecloths. I reached over and turned off the blaring music. The girl, now wrapped in the fallen curtain, looked at me and, surprisingly, I decided to say hello. She returned the greeting, but we were interrupted by a noise emanating from the bathroom. The young man, having calmed down, emerged from the bathroom, his modesty preserved by a towel. Only then did I truly grasp the immense strength of my opponent. I could have easily hired him as my personal bodyguard. However, to my astonishment, he started talking calmly. He introduced himself and politely asked me to leave the kitchen to allow them the privacy to get dressed. It was at this moment that I noticed my scattered bags in the hallway and my cat, Muska, uninterestedly bored by the untouched sushi. The pastries may have been slightly creased, but were spared from the feline's disdain for sweets. The wine, too, failed to catch the cat's attention. I gathered my bags and walked into the kitchen, still dressed in my clothes. Vera and Nikita appeared to be respectable individuals, and the only reminder of the recent chaos was the scattered chips on the chair. I placed the treats on the table and arranged the glasses. The guests began to converse. Vera and Nastya were old friends who had attended the same kindergarten. Although they didn't see each other often, they occasionally spent time together. Today, they coincidentally met on public transportation. Nastya had just finished work, while Vera had gotten off at the same stop to meet someone. They decided to take a break together. It turned out that Vera's companion had been away for a few weeks due to work. Nastya went to the store, allowing her friends to make themselves comfortable and relax for an hour. Since it had been a while since they had last seen each other and Nastya had her parents and sister at home, the guys didn't waste any time catching up. Unfortunately, I unintentionally interrupted their reunion. Nikita later mentioned that he was afraid he might lose control and hit me, so he chose not to defend himself. I sincerely apologized numerous times and asked how I could make it up to him, but Nikita proved to be a great guy and immediately forgave me, stating that he would have reacted similarly in my position. You see, I had assumed that Nastya was simply occupied with her tasks while I was at work. Naturally, my protective instincts were triggered, and I felt a strong desire to confront the intruder. When Nastya arrived, we enjoyed a pleasant conversation over a cup of tea. She was taken aback when she saw the broken stool. We vividly recounted the entire incident, which made her quite concerned for Nikita. She even asked if we needed to call a doctor to check his back. Eventually, she burst into laughter. After about 30 minutes, Vera and her boyfriend bid us farewell. I insisted on immediately discarding the towel and curtain while I went to finish the task, and Nastya cleaned up the mess. Throughout the rest of the day, I pondered my thoughts, realizing the depth of my feelings for Nastya. I was willing to defend our relationship fiercely, even willing to harm the person I perceived as a threat. Therefore, in the evening, I visited Nastya with an engagement ring in hand. Her first request was for me to purchase a replacement stool identical to the one I had destroyed, and then we could discuss wedding plans. Now, after several months of living together, we recall that incident with fondness. Whenever we have guests, Nastya never fails to entertain them with stories of how I became the stool warrior who wanted to protect her. The worst part of it all was Muska, our greedy cat, who had devoured almost half a kilo of fish. Dear friends, thank you for listening to our stories. Subscribe to the channel, put likes, and leave your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to press the bell not to miss new stories, which we try to publish every day. We also remind you that everyone can share unique stories from their life or the lives of friends, which can be sent to us by email, which is specified in the description of the video. Good luck to everyone and be happy!